Hello friends, welcome back to my YouTube channel Dr. Sajjad's Academy. If you have not yet subscribed, please subscribe my channel and do not forget to hit the bell icon to get the notifications on my latest videos. Thank you. Friends, today I am going to discuss with you one very important test, which is one-way ANOVA in a research methodology. This concept is very important for researchers as well as academicians. So let us see first of all today what this one-way ANOVA is. Okay, when we talk of this one-way ANOVA, this is mostly used to determine whether there are any statistically significant differences between the means of two or more independent groups. All right, so this is what is one-way ANOVA all about. What is that? That is statistical difference between two or more two or more two or more two or more independent independent groups. Fine. Now mostly when we talk about here two or more, in most of the time when we have two groups in the independent variable, we mostly prefer t-test or one-way ANOVA. But we can also use here, if we have two or more independent groups here, we can use one-way ANOVA, no problem in that. When we talk about here more independent groups, those independent groups should be unrelated, they should not be related. Now here it may seem like odd when what we are doing here, finding whether there is any significant difference between the means of two or more independent groups. But the name here is an analysis of variance, ANOVA, right? The name is analysis of variance, right? It should be then analysis of mean or analysis of means, right? So it seems odd here that the technique is called as ANOVA rather than analysis of means. But as we go ahead, we will see the name ANOVA is an appropriate name because the inferences here are the inferences about the means are made by analyzing variances. That is why this is called as ANOVA, not analysis of means. Hence the name ANOVA is correct to this test. Now when we talk about this one-way ANOVA, this one-way ANOVA, it is an omnibus. It is an omnibus test. Why is it called as omnibus test? This is called as omnibus test statistic. What it is called as? This is called as omnibus test statistic. The reason here is why, because it cannot tell us which specific groups were statistically significant, different from each other. It will not tell us that. That's why this is called as omnibus test statistic. So in order to determine which specific groups were different from each other, we have to use some other test which is called as post hoc test. That is called as post hoc. So we are going to use then the other test which is called as post hoc test. Post hoc test. Fine. Now first of all we should understand why this one-way ANOVA is called as one-way ANOVA. The simple reason is because it takes only one independent variable. It takes only one independent variable. Fine. Now if we talk about the null hypothesis for this test, that is one-way ANOVA test, the hypothesis will be H naught is equal to mu1 is equal to mu2 is equal to mu3 dash 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 up to mu k. Here what is this mu? This mu is, it is the group mean, and this k is the number of groups present. Now let me tell you when shall we use this one way ANOVA test. Now I give you an example here. Now say for example we have a situation where we have three medical treatments available to apply on a particular patient, right? That treatment, three treatments are available actually, fine, and the disease here is similar. So what is the situation here? We have three medical treatments and we are going to apply those three medical treatments on a particular patient with, we have taken three medical treatments here. The disease here is similar. Once we have the test results after we have given these three medical treatments, one approach is to be assumed that the treatment which took the least time to cure the patient is the best among all these three treatments, medical treatments. So we are going to select only one out of these three medical treatments which took the least time, right? Now here the condition is, what if some of the patients, like if we have around 2 or 3 patients here, out of these 3 patients, what if any of these patients had already been partially cured, or if any other medication was already working on them. So this can be the situation, right? Now in such situation, to make a confident and reliable decision, what we need evidence to support our approach. All right, so this is where the concept of ANOVA comes into play, right? So now we know what it is. This ANOVA, it is a technique which compares the samples on the basis of their means, right? Now here we have certain assumptions for one-way ANOVA. We cannot go for ANOVA test unless we are not checking all these assumptions for the data. Here the first assumption is data should be measured on continuous scale. Data should be measured on continuous scales. It should be measured on continuous scale. When we talk about here continuous scale, I am talking about the data which is either an interval data or ratio data. For example, here if we give the example for continuous data, it is like exam performance, it is the weight of students, it can be the intelligence of students, it can be the revision time taken by a faculty. Any of these we can take, fine. Any of these, like such data, like which should be continuous one. Then the second assumption for this is here 2 or 3 more independent groups, as we have here one independent variable. That is why the name is one-way ANOVA, right? There must be two or more than two independent groups in independent variable, right? As I said you here, you can take, like for 2 groups, if there are 2 groups, you can take t-test, or if you want you can go for one-way ANOVA also. All right, when I talk about here more than 2 groups in the independent variable, for example, if I take independent variable, which one? if I take profession as independent variable, in profession we have different groups, different categories. We have like doctors, we have like surgeons, like you can take here doctors, you can take doctors, surgeons, like nurses, fine. You can take dentists, right? So these are the different these are the different groups in the independent variables if we take profession as independent variable. Now the third assumption here is that we have to meet here, there are no outliers, there are no outliers present in the dependent variable. In dependent variable there should be no outliers. Now see here, if I talk about the mean score, the mean score of 100 students in a classroom is, say for example, 80 is the mean score. Now there can be little bit variation from this 80, right? 80, 90 or 80 below, like for example if we go down it is 70. But if any student from the class is scoring more than 140 or 150, so this 140 or 150 is called outlier. So there should be no outlier in the dependent variable, right? There should be no outlier in the dependent variable. Then we have one more dependent variable. This dependent variable should be normally distributed. It should be normally distributed. Yes, this is very important here. Now when we talk about this normal distribution in the data in the dependent variable, I am talking about here dependent variable, we have to find out the distribution in that dependent variable. So how are we going to find this normality in the dependent variable? If we want to use SPSS, in SPSS we have two tests which we are going to use for testing the normality of this dependent variable. One is called as Kolmogorov-Smirnov test. One is Kolmogorov Smirnov test. This is the first test that we are using for checking the normality in the data or in the dependent variable. Then the second one is Shapirov-Wilk test. So these are two different tests that we are using, that we can actually conduct in SPSS to find whether there is normality in the data or not. Now when we talk about this Kolmogorov-Smirnov test, this is used when the sample size is more than 2000. When the sample size is more than 2000. When sample size is equal to or less than 2000, we are using Shapirov-Wilk test for finding the normality in the data. Here I am talking about dependent variable. In the dependent variable we are going to find out the normality. Now when we use this Shapirov-Wilk test, when we are using this test, in this test how we are going to decide on the normality of data? How can we say there is normality in the data? When we are conducting this test, Shapirov-Wilk test in SPSS, the normality is decided based on three figures. One is statistic. When we talk about here statistic, this is W statistic, right? This is the first one. Second one is degree of freedom. Degree of freedom is, it is in the sample, right? Degree of freedom. Then we have third one, that is sigma value. Sigma value, when I talk about the sigma value, this is which value? P value, right? This is the P value. Fine. Now here, how are we going to find, how we decide whether the dependent variable is normal or not? So what we are going to do, on this P value we are going to decide that if this P value is less than 0.5, is less than, P value is less than 0.5. What is this 0.5 here? This 0.05 actually, because we are taking 5% level of significance. So P is less than 0.05, that is the level of significance. Then it would indicate a significant result, that is the data is not normally distributed. The data is not normally distributed, right? When the data is not normally distributed, then we cannot go for what? One way ANOVA. Fine. If in case if P is greater than, now if P is greater than 0.05, if P is greater than 0.05, then we say the data is normally distributed. The data is normally distributed. Now the fifth assumption here is independence of observations. Independence of observations. Now what does this independence of observations mean? It means there is no relationship between the observations in each group or between the groups themselves. I give you the example here. For example, there must be different participants in each group. If we have three groups here, fine, like doctors, nurses and surgeons, right? All these three groups should have different participants. The doctor, for example, doctor, we have surgeon. Surgeon should not be in the doctor's group. Doctor should not be in the surgeon's group. Or surgeon's, any participant who is in the surgeon's group, he should not be in the nurse's group. Or the nurses, any participant who is there, he or she should not be there in where? I mean, she should not be there in what? Doctor's group, right? That is what is called as independence of observation. In short, what we can say, one participant should not participate in more than one group. That is what is called as independence of observation. Then we have next one, that's called as next one. The next here is homogeneity of variance. Homogeneity of variance. Now, how can we find out this homogeneity of variance? We are again going to use the same tool, that is SPSS. In SPSS, we use Levene's test. So this test we are using for what? We are using this test for finding the homogeneity of variance. In case if our data fails, this test, this Levene's test, what we have to do? We need to carry out Welch ANOVA. We cannot go for one way ANOVA. We are going for what? We have to go for something different, which is called as, what is that? I said Welch ANOVA. Welch ANOVA. Fine. We are going for Welch ANOVA instead of one way ANOVA, right? So this is our null hypothesis here, that is mean of group 1 is equal to mean of group 2 is equal to mean of group 3, right? So this is the null hypothesis, and the alternative hypothesis will be mu1 is not equal to mu2 is not equal to mu3. So here what we are going to do, we will once we conduct the test of one way ANOVA, we are going to find two values there. One is F ratio, and the other one is p value, and the other one is p value. So how are we going to decide acceptance or rejections of this mean of the groups, or within the groups, or among the groups? If p value associated with f ratio or f is smaller than 0.5, if p value associated with f is smaller than 0.05, then H naught is rejected. That is, if p value is less than 0.05, what we are going to do? We are going to reject H naught. So H naught will be rejected, right? H naught will be rejected. If not, if it is more than 0.05, H naught will be accepted, right? Thank you so much for watching this video. Dear students, in my next video I will take up some data set, and I am going to use this one-way ANOVA and find out whether there is any significant difference in the means among various groups or not.